Welcome to this episode of Digital Dialogs with Gururaj Rao and Vinayak Khadye. I'm your host Vinayak Khadye. Before we begin with the podcast, here is a brief introduction of Guru and I. Gururaj Rao is a well-respected professional with more than 2 decades of experience in CXO roles in banking, financial services, and insurance companies in India. I have more than 2 decades of experience in leadership roles in consulting, insurance industry, and also as a founder of a startup in EdTech space. In Digital Dialogues podcast series, Gururaj and I go beyond jargons and buzzwords in the digital world and bring to the fore the true meanings of these terms. We discuss models, methodologies, technologies, architectures, case studies, and challenges and issues associated with digital initiatives which can help you as a decision maker. Welcome to this new episode of Digital Dialogues with Gururaj Rao and Vinayak Khadye. Uh, since we are almost in the month of March in the year 2023 now, and financial year of for India is going to begin from April this year. So we thought that it would be a good idea to look at uh, you know a set of technologies, how relevant they are, particularly in the digital space. Okay, and uh, sort of digital revolution started about 8-10 years back. So we are looking at a wide range of technologies like uh, social media, mobile, analytics, cloud, blockchain, then even foundational technologies like process automation, uh, RPA or intelligent automation, then AI ML, uh, then some of the technologies purely from development perspectives in terms of like ABI gateways or marketplaces, low code, no code platforms, CI/CD, and even cyber security. And extremely new and exciting areas like metaverse, AR, VR, ER, quantum computing, drones, etc. So we are going to cover in these next 2 or 3 or even more episodes, all these technologies, and we'll look at them from two perspectives. One is uh, the applicability of these technologies, and or adoption of these technologies, and second is the evolution of these technologies, and we will look at typically their uh, life cycle in terms of whether they are in infancy, growth, maturity, or decline. Okay, so let's initially look at uh, few technologies which we are more or less very familiar. Uh, at the beginning of the uh, digital revolution, they were referred to as SMAC, social media, mobile, analytics, and cloud. So analytics, of course, we will is sort of become a foundational technology, even from AI ML perspective. So we'll discuss it again, later in future episodes, once again in the context of AI ML. But let's look at these four technologies, and along with that, let's look at also blockchain. Okay. Guru, let's start with social media. Okay, so social media has been uh, around now for almost more than a decade in terms of its popularity. And initially, of course, a lot of individuals went and adopted social media, and but of course, businesses realized that social media are very effective tools, because a lot of their consumers, okay, both the corporate decision makers as well as B2C consumers were on the social media, and social media had the capability to influence the decision. So uh, from an adoption perspective and both from um, its evolution perspective, what how do you see social media?
See, yes, social media is now a completely mature set of technologies, and the adoption has been, in full swing by most of the corporate organizations, most of the enterprises. Uh, there is a huge impact of social media. Okay, I mean, uh, while on one hand we may have extremely focused, extremely uh, you know narrow kind of uh, platforms, we also have platforms which are very generic and very very wide open kind of a thing, like Facebook or WhatsApp. Okay, and the more professional uh, centric ones like LinkedIn, or you also have things like Reddit and other platforms. So each one has its own flavor, but if business enterprises take these seriously, then they have to put in a lot of effort to support their leverage of social media. It's a huge double-edged sword, right? I mean, one flight gets delayed by a few minutes, or one crew member says something to somebody, suddenly the whole social media talks about the entire airline. I mean, the airline may be running some hundreds of flights in a day with more than 100,000 passengers, etc. And yet, one small incident, somewhere becomes a challenge for them to handle. So, managing the reputation, managing the service quality, the customer expectations becomes a 24/7 activity. I mean, if somebody does not respond to a customer, a retail customer complaining on, say, on Twitter, and if the bank does not respond within a few hours, immediately there is a cascading effect. And these days, uh, the customer presence on social media has also again some great relevance. One person starts something, a lot of others can add to it. So the social media presence of the customers also matter. The influencers, usage of influencers, nudges, all those have become very mature and well established practices in business enterprises. So you can measure your presence, you can measure your leverage, you can measure the positives and negatives. All that currently happens, and you have tools to do that. So you can certainly look at the return on the average spend that you have on social media. So very you know uh, powerful weapon, but at the same time it's become necessary to have a large support structure to manage that social media presence. I mean, there are agencies to manage your content, manage your responses, handle the quality of responses, monitor the customer interactions, the intelligence, the what you call the emotional quotient underlying the communication. All those are well developed now.
Yes, I think you're right. So social media is more of become a hygiene factor. There are a lot of applications, like in marketing, sales, and even areas like HR, where a lot of recruitment can be enabled through social media. I think there are two areas where some 2 or 3 areas, where there is scope and there is some amount of development that is happening. One is, the automation, okay, part, because corporates typically have presence on more than one platform, okay,
Absolutely.
and then managing publication of the content on this platform is a huge collaborative effort, and so there is a lot of scope for automation there. Also, the publication. Okay, so scheduling of it, calendaring it, and using same interface. Okay, so because if a corporate is probably looking at is operating on 3 or 4 different social media platforms, then it's a pain to um, log into each platforms and then publish content, and then the whether the content is being properly reviewed before publication, etc. So from that perspective, I think there are now software systems which are available, which are on cloud,
Yes.
which allow you to do that. So I think while social media uh, uh, as a as a solution or tech suite, okay, is mature, but there is from a corporate adoption perspective, there is huge amount of scope in these areas. Then I think one more area is with respect to the uh, and analytics. I think more or less you get a lot of analytics from social media, but then again, you know bringing it all together, correlating it, and then taking learnings out of it, so that your future campaigns are more effective. Okay. So some of these tools, process automation tools, okay, they offer that as well. Uh, okay, one interesting area that I think is where AI/ML can play a role is
Mm.
managing. But again, it's a double two-edged sword. Okay, in managing responses to the content. Okay, because many times what happens is that if there is a delay, as you were talking about few examples. Okay, wherein you know there is a sudden spike, okay, of negative opinion, okay, because a flight gets delayed, or some issue with some product or a service, and then a lot of unhappy people actually, who may or may not be connected with that also, sometimes join them, and it becomes further louder. Okay, so to
Yeah.
manage it and intervene it quickly is essential sometimes. So I don't know, with AI sort of evolving in its capability to understand the text, understand the context, okay, understand the sentiment behind what is communicated, or what the AI is reading. Probably it can respond faster. That is something, and I think at some point in time, maybe there are some solutions. I'm not aware, but maybe there is a scope in this area as well. So these are some of the areas
There
I
are
think.
bots available for responses.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So there may be already bots available, right? So these are, so while social media, I mean, obviously it will continue to social media itself is evolving, and new avenues like metaverse, which we'll discuss later, in the context of metaverse independently. But a lot of pivoting is happening amongst social media players to come up with new innovations. So yeah, so we agree more or less that from both adaptation and evolution perspective, it is kind of mature technology, but there are pockets of innovation which are possible and available. Okay, I mean, pockets of innovation which are possible in this space. So
Yes.
yeah, any
So
concluding
you're
remarks? Then otherwise we'll
Yeah,
move
I
to
mean,
the
social
next one.
media has become relevant in terms of marketing, in terms of call to action for various customer
Yeah.
journeys, for servicing, for um, brand reputation, all those. So absolutely, I mean, it's now a mature technology, and there are practices available and tools available to measure and monitor what is happening out there.
Okay. Fine. Even I think in certain cases, payment, it is also used as a payment gateway, to make
Correct.
payments. So that is another small area. Yeah. So these innovations will keep coming, but broadly speaking, evolution and adoption perspective, it is something early maturity, or maturity phase. Okay.
Yeah,
It's going to be a
correct.
part and parcel of our life, both as individuals and corporates or businesses. Now let's move on to mobile. So the piece that we talked about. So the next one is mobile. Again, mobile falls in this category. I think innovation, sorry, evolution and adoption. Any thoughts on this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, while mobile overall as a category is now mature category, a lot of new things are still coming up. And in terms of customer offtake, the adoption, uh, almost every product, every service, I think people today expect a mobile interface as a given, as a hygiene factor. In fact, people would be surprised if the neighborhood kirana shop does not have a mobile, presence. So, it's a very powerful weapon today for all the business enterprises. And the customers use it for all purposes, whether it is non what you call something which is very serious thing like a financial services app, or for their personal entertainment things like streaming movies and music and all that. The entire range, uh, today people expect on their phones. Phone is like a is an all powerful weapon for every individual, and hence the business enterprises would certainly need a presence on the mobile platform. Uh, and in fact, the presence is also changing. Earlier, there used to be apps for each purpose, horses for courses kind of a thing. Now, people are getting into the super app concept, taking off from where the Chinese giants have been. And so, Indian, attempts are also to create super apps so that you can club together many products and services and give a single presence to the customer. So people are into various journeys. Enterprises are doing various stuff on the mobile platforms, and the technologies have now converged to such an extent that you don't need to have different code deployments. You don't need to worry about which form factor the customer is using. So generally it's becoming more and more stable in terms of the infrastructure of the mobile technologies, whether it is the user devices or even the spread of 4G and 5G bandwidths, so which is extremely helpful for the entire mobile app industry as well as for the business enterprises.
Yes. So more or less, like social media again, from a evolution perspective, it's so it's fairly mature. Obviously, mobile technology, underlying technology, uh, is going to improve. So we are now looking at 5G being launched in India. Uh, uh, Within the device, also obviously the processing capability is increasing. Then obviously that means that companies can provide very uh, highly effective, very large scale functionality apps onto the mobile platforms. So again, it's become a hygiene. Everybody expects to be mobile enabled now, whether you are a corporate employee or whether you are a customer. Customer from consuming the services, and corporate employees, whether they're selling or servicing products and services to the customers. One area, but I think where uh, at least in India I see lesser awareness is mobile security. Okay. um, Mobile security, I don't know what I mean. You are a very practicing uh, you know uh, IT professional working on the corporate side. So, how in your opinion, mobile security? While we'll again touch upon this in detail. When we look at security as a complete, let's say, spectrum. Both from cyber security perspective, information security perspective. But in your opinion, in the context of mobile, uh, how relevance or what kind of importance is given to the security?
You're absolutely right. See, it's such a powerful weapon, a mobile app and a mobile device, and now it's accessible for, I mean, a huge population. It's something which is so powerful, so useful for people, that obviously equally it can also be misused by people. uh, so whether it is social engineering in terms of, I mean, even if you put in multi-factor authentication like OTP, it's very easy through social engineering attacks to get the OTP from somebody. um, so that's through social engineering, you can pick up anybody's phone and check his data and all that stuff. So all that is available, in addition to, of course, the technology oriented attacks that are possible on the app, on the device. So yes, it's extremely important for people to understand that something which is powerful, useful, can also be misused and can hurt them. And there are many anecdotal evidences we are seeing every day of people being duped of lot of money through mobile transactions. So
Yes.
very important topic. Yes, we will discuss that in detail when we go ahead. But yes, there are norms for financial apps, for payment apps, for lending and other transaction apps, investment apps. So so there are norms, there are safeguards available in terms of secure programming, in terms of hardening of the devices, in terms of the way you use the apps. So people have to follow that. A lot of education is necessary, and we're already seeing that happening. I mean, I can see a lot of advertisements on radio and TV talking about at least things like OTP and not calling up any random number as a bank representative and all that stuff. So uh, things are happening, and they need to happen even more.
With this, we conclude today's podcast. Today, we discussed social media and mobile tech platforms, which were part of SMAC or SMAC suite of platforms, which included social media, mobile, analytics, and cloud. SMAC kickstarted the digital transformation journey. In the next episode, we will discuss analytics and cloud.